Rigour is the practice of doing research well, from designing your project to collecting and analyzing data. It deals with what you do so that you can trust your work and know that your research findings are of good quality. The quality is more complicated when it comes to community-based research. Community-based research is rarely linear and often changes as the work unfolds, so it's important to be ready to adapt your work if necessary. And like any research project, limited time, funding, skills, and access to participants can limit the conclusions you can make about your findings. Given this reality, how can you make sure that you are doing community-based research well? We recommend 3 strategies. First, the research process should be systematically documented so that each step can be reported to community partners. Research approaches need to be transparent and open to scrutiny. Second, in designing the research, include steps that check or triangulate the process and results. This might include using different types and sources of data, having multiple people interpret the same data, sharing your results with community partners before they are published to allow them to confirm or help make sense of the data. And third, consider the transferability of your research. How generalizable are the findings? What limitations should be highlighted? For community-based research, quality is about more than rigor. We mentioned in Module 1 that high-quality community-based research needs to be relevant, equitable, and action-oriented. Research is relevant to communities when questions come from the community and when community partners create and share knowledge that's meaningful to them. Often in community-based research, there may be times when the transferability of your findings outside of a program are less important. The relevance of the finding to the community is how it makes positive changes for them. It's good practice to check with participants to confirm that your project's findings are relevant to them. Did you answer the questions you set out to answer? Do the findings reflect participants' experiences and perspectives? Community-based research is also about relationships. As a student researcher, you might work in partnership with a community partner and a faculty member. You might work in a team of students and build relationships with them. You'll need to practice your relationship building skills. Engaging with people who use your findings, including community members, community-based organizations, decision makers, and funders, involves listening to their needs and making shared decisions. You need to be open and honest about why you are conducting research, how data will be collected, and how findings will be used by the community. One way to keep your research transparent and dependable is to keep track of why, when, and by whom decisions were made throughout your project. Equitable partnerships involve talking about issues of power. Addressing power is important when working with people from diverse backgrounds. Research is action-oriented when partners build on a community's strength and resources. They share knowledge and findings, experience mutual benefits from the research, and engage in efforts to make welcome change to the community. Doing community-based research well means that people will use your work even after you're done. Throughout a project, it's a good idea to keep notes or a journal reflecting on the research process. This can help you grow as a researcher, and you can share your positive practices with others. Ask yourself, what went well? What would you have done differently? What have you learned about yourself as a researcher? How do you know you can trust your work and that your research findings are of good quality?